Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're diving into a tool that's a real classic, but in 2026, it is more important than ever. We're talking about linear regression. Yeah, it's that simple, powerful engine you hear about, but what we're really going to unpack is why its transparency, its clarity, is suddenly its most valuable feature. Let's jump in.
So you hear it all the time, right? Massive AI, huge, complex models. It makes you wonder, is bigger always better? Are the simpler tools just obsolete now? Well, that's the big question we're tackling today. And you might be surprised to hear that in a lot of real-world professional settings, the answer is a huge no.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter, the main tension in AI right now. You've got your deep learning models on one side, super powerful for sure, but they're often what we call a black box. It's kind of hard to see what's going on inside. But then, on the other side, you have linear models. They're simple, they're fast, and most importantly, they're transparent. You can literally see exactly why the model made the prediction it did. And believe me, in 2026, that kind of clarity, it's not just a nice-to-have feature, it's a massive, massive competitive advantage.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why regression still matters. Then, we'll get into the intuition behind the line of best fit. After that, we'll connect the math to the code. And we'll wrap up by looking at how you turn a model into a real strategy.
All right, first up, why regression still matters. You know, in this age where everyone's obsessed with going bigger and bigger, why are we talking about this classic algorithm? Well, it turns out the two things that businesses are screaming for right now are clarity and speed. And this is where linear regression really shines. Take a look at this quote. It's a bit of a gut punch, right? Property price forecasts should be treated as marketing, not analysis. This came from a deep dive into the housing market, and what they found was just staggering. For years, these major, high-profile forecasts were consistently and wildly wrong. It's a perfect and kind of painful reminder of what happens when hype overtakes reality. It really drives home why we need models that we can actually pull apart and understand.
And the stakes here, they're just enormous. Think about this number for a second. 17%. That's the slice of the entire global GDP that the digital economy represents. And in that world, what's the engine of growth? It's being able to predict things, continuous values, like what a house will sell for, what demand for a product will be, or even a patient's medical score. And you know what the workhorse behind so many of those predictions is? Yep, good old linear regression.
So all of this is leading to a really interesting strategic shift, something people are calling vertical AI. And the idea is actually pretty simple. Instead of one giant do-everything model, you build smaller, efficient, understandable models for specific problems. And the advantages are huge. First, interpretability. You know why it's making its predictions. Second, speed. These things can run on standard CPUs. You don't need a warehouse full of power-hungry GPUs. And finally, sovereignty. It lets companies build and own their AI in-house, so they're not totally dependent on these giant external platforms.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the why. Now it's time to get into the how. Let's peel back the curtain a little and really understand the core idea behind the line of best fit. I promise it's way more intuitive than it sounds.
So at its core, what is linear regression? Well, first off, it's a supervised learning algorithm. All that means is that we train it on data where we already have the right answers. We show it a bunch of inputs, the X variables, and the correct output, the Y value. And its whole job is to figure out the simple, straight-line relationship between all those inputs and the one thing we're trying to predict.
And the goal, honestly, it's beautifully simple. Just picture it. You take all your data and plot it on a chart, a big scatter plot of dots. The entire point of this algorithm is to draw one single straight line that slices through that cloud of dots and gets as close as it possibly can to all of them at the same time. That's it. That's the whole game. Finding that line of best fit.
And this right here, this is the equation for that line. It probably looks a little familiar, maybe from a high school math class. So y is what we're trying to predict. That beta 0, that's just the intercept. It's where the line hits the vertical axis. Think of it as the starting point. Beta 1 is the slope, how steep the line is. It tells you how much y goes up or down when x changes. And that little epsilon at the end, super important. That's the error term. It's just acknowledging that in the real world, things are a little messy. There's always some random noise we can't perfectly predict.
Okay, now for the really cool part. We're going to see how we get from that theoretical math equation to something you can actually run. This is where the math meets the code, and you'll see how this powerful idea gets boiled down to just a few simple commands.
So you might be wondering, how does the computer know which line is the best? How does it decide?
Well, it uses something called a cost function. Think of it like a penalty score. The most common one is the sum of squared errors. Here's how it works. For every single data point, it measures the distance from the point to our line. That distance is the error. Then, and this is the key part, it squares that error. Why square it? Two brilliant reasons. First, it makes big errors really costly. A small miss is a small penalty, but a big miss is a huge penalty. Second, it means a prediction that's too high and one that's too low don't just cancel each other out. The best line is simply the one with the lowest total penalty score. Now, there are basically two ways to find that perfect line with the lowest score. The first is called ordinary least squares, or OLS. You can think of this as the direct mathematical approach. If you have a reasonably small data set, you can basically solve one elegant equation and boom, you get the exact right answer in one shot. But when you're dealing with truly massive big data, that just doesn't work. It's too slow. So we turn to gradient descent. This is more of a step-by-step process. Imagine your penalty score is a giant valley. Gradient descent starts somewhere up on the hill and just takes little steps, always going downhill, until it finds the absolute bottom of that valley, the point with the lowest possible error.
And here's the best part. All that complex-sounding math, it becomes incredibly simple when you actually go to code it. If you're using a common Python library like Scikit-learn, the whole thing is basically 3 steps. 1, prep your data. You always keep a little bit aside to test your model on later. 2, you literally just type model.fit. That's the command that tells it to learn the relationships from your training data. And 3, you use model.predict on that data you held back to see how well it does on stuff it's never seen before. That's it. It's amazing.
All right, let's bring it all home in our last section. We've gone from theory to code, but now we need to talk strategy. So you've built a model. How do you actually know if it's any good? And maybe even more importantly, how do you make sure it stays good out there in the real world? When it comes to judging your model, there are 2 big numbers you'll look at. The first is called R-squared. The easy way to think about it is it tells you how much of the story your model is explaining. It's a percentage, so a score closer to 1 is great. It means your inputs are doing a really good job of predicting the output. The other one is mean squared error, or MSE. This one is all about accuracy. It's basically the average penalty score for your predictions. For MSE, you want a number as close to 0 as possible. That means your predictions are landing really close to the actual values. But I have to give you a really critical warning here. Just because your model gets a great score today, that doesn't mean it'll be any good tomorrow. And this is because of a really dangerous problem called data drift. You can think of it as a silent killer for AI models. The world changes, right? Customer habits shift, the economy changes, new data comes in. If you're not paying attention, the data you're feeding your model starts to look totally different from the data it was trained on. And without you even noticing, its performance just degrades over time until it's not just useless, but maybe even making things worse. And that brings us right back to where we started. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the race for bigger, more complex AI. But the ability to build a model that isn't just a black box, one that's truly interpretable, that is a serious strategic advantage. It's the difference between just getting a number spit out at you and actually understanding what's going on. Your data is always talking. The real question for all of us is, are we building models that can actually listen?